Hi guys, we are live. My name is David Pinto. We are here with Renee Sullivan as well. We are a bit late behind schedule, let's say, but that's fine. That's my fault. Um, yes. So today's weekly webinar, which we're basically doing on Success Starts with a Plan, is a very interesting webinar itself. We're talking about balancing business and personal life and how you can spend time with yourself and have more time freedom and stuff like that. So I think Renee is in a good place to start. The fact that she's on holiday and she's still doing this webinar is incredible. So we will get to it in a bit. But if you don't know who we are or what we're doing, basically we have Success Starts with a Plan. This is episode 11 that we're working on at the moment. And we like to come on every week to talk about a little bit more on our lifestyle and what's happening with the business or other businesses, and a plan that you can put in place no matter what you're doing in order for you to actually gain momentum and increase over the years, rather than just get started, feel stuck, and not know where to go, and then maybe you get some success, maybe you don't. Usually we've noticed that is starting with a plan really helps, and that's why we're gonna be talking about it today. So Renee, if you wanna start, you can go ahead. Otherwise, I can definitely you know
I can
get
start,
things
no
going.
problem. So
Cool.
as you can see, I'm coming to you from my car. we actually got done with a vacation in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, and now we're driving to New York. Unfortunately, my grandmother passed away during our vacation, so we're actually heading to New York to be with family for my grandmother's funeral tomorrow. But it's kind of a testament to what we're talking about today. How do you balance your business with your life? Well, what I'm doing today is kind of an example of that. Like, I'm doing a webinar from my car. I'm not driving though. I'm actually a passenger, so don't freak out. My husband is actually the one driving. If you want to see him, he's right there. But anyways, this fits in with what we're talking about today, because you want to have something where you can actually live your life and take care of what goes on in your life and still have your business running for you in the background. And that's exactly what I'm doing. I've actually set up my system so that no matter where I am, my business is taken care of for me. So basically, I have my business, my marketing system, which is actually the thing that's running it right now. um, and of course, we always talk about the traffic, and I always have some kind of traffic, whether it be free or paid. The last few days last week while I've been on vacation, I've actually had several orders of paid traffic come in for me. So I've actually had subscribers while I've been on vacation. I've actually signed up people while on vacation. And it kind of happens that way, kind of when I'm, feeling, no resistance and more relaxed, is when I get more people actually joining me in business. It kind of works out that way, when you're not feeling pressured or anything like that. I've actually signed up several people in my business over the past week. And the reason why it happens this way is because of the system. The plan that I have in place makes it possible for me. When I'm on vacation, I actually can respond to emails when I am able to, and I can actually do that. Actually had someone reach out to me for my first offer, and then someone else, two people actually reach out to me about the marketing system that I use. So it's kind of cool that I can do this while on vacation and while in a car. Um, and it really goes to show you that if you have something that's functional, you can take it wherever. You could be at the park with your kids and have this set up, and someone reach out to you. And the cool thing is, they can sign up with you without even reaching out to you. That's the cool thing about it. I actually had the person that I spoke to actually signed up while I was sleeping. But the conversation we had, prior to that was a very quick conversation. Yep. Okay. Answered a few questions and said, oh, yeah, when I'm ready, I'll do this. And I woke up, and, a person signed up in my business. So that's what's really cool about being able to live your life and balance your life and be able to do something like this. So that's really kind of where I'm coming from today, and the fact that you can make it happen. And it takes, all it really takes, to be honest, is a willingness to learn something you haven't learned yet, if you've never done this before, and do the steps that it's going to take to set your system up, and then follow up in the meantime. That's really what it's about. And if you don't know how to do it in the beginning, that's why we have these webinars. That's why we in Facebook, to actually show people this can be done, and it takes just some steps and following to get it set up. But once that's set up, the follow up is really up to you, and just getting people to know who you are as a person and taking it from there. I definitely want to pass it off to you to, get your comments and feedback on this, but this is really what this is all about, is balancing that personal life, because it's not always easy. In the beginning, it's not necessarily as easy, but once you learn how to make it happen, it's just part of the process. So take it away, David.
Yeah, guys, I definitely will be trying to do more of the speaking in this webinar today, because I don't want to, Renee is on the way and she has a lot happening at the moment. But like Renee mentioned, I mean, things happen in life, whether good, whether bad, it depends on how you take things, right? And at the same time, there is a certain balance that you need to we all need to face. The thing happens that in the beginning, when you're looking into getting started online or getting started in anything for that matter, you have to figure out how to fit it in your schedule, have to fit it into how things are working for your lifestyle at the moment, whether you want to change or not. That's something that's a big question to people, whether you actually want some kind of change, or do you want to continue doing the things that you're doing, right? uh, Personally, for example, myself, I even have a change in schedule in terms of how, when I want to wake up, why I want to wake up at that time, and be more healthy and stuff like that. That's something I take very seriously. But at the same time, there's this side of my business that I want to keep running. So the thing that happens, and I know for sure it happens, it has happened to Renee, and it's happened to me as well, where you do get overwhelmed. You do feel like you're spending those nights, and in fact, a lot of people will tell you, you have to hustle, you have to hustle, you have to hustle. And the hustle doesn't mean that you have to not balance your lifestyle or your life. It actually is involved quite a bit with what you're doing at what time, having a plan in place. Because when you don't have a plan in place, you're not focused on the right things. You're focused on everything. And I know that people will resonate to this if I say it. I mean, you are told to do Facebook, you're told to do YouTube, you're told to do paid advertising, whatever it is, to get your system running, right? And that's a plan for that business. But at the same time, if you put things together in the right or orderly fashion, depending on how you see fit, right? At the end of the day, it's learning that consistency and that skill set of building it. And as Renee said, when you finally find the time to relax, or rather to have that time freedom, that's when things take place, because then you're focused on the important things. Or as you might hear many times, you have to do income producing activities. But what are the actual income producing activities that you are focused on? Okay. So personally, myself, I got into the whole space because I wanted to have more time freedom. I wanted to be there for my family and stuff like that. And it's going in that direction. It's not there yet, and it does take time. It's not going to happen overnight. That I can guarantee you. Okay, nothing happens overnight, but it will at times even affect your family life. So you have to understand that there's a balance between it. But the moment I found this plan which we're talking about, okay, which is simply, you have a product or service, you have a marketing system, and you have traffic and support. Okay, the support is for you morally to continue doing what you're doing. The traffic is to keep your business running. The marketing system is to present that business to a lot of people, and the product is simply your product is where you're making the sales. Now you can have multiple streams within that whole system that you put in place, but that's the plan. We're breaking it down that simple. We're not complicating it at all. We're breaking it down that simple. Okay. And I can 100% or actually 200% tell you that when you have this kind of a plan in place, you focus on the right things. You start to implement strategies. You start to learn more. You have time to read. You have time to educate yourself. You have time for your family. You have time to plan. The key word that I'm using here, guys, is time. Okay. And then that time freedom is for you to take a vacation, for you to decide spontaneously, oh, I need to go here, I need to do this, I need to do that. And at the end of the day, it's spending time for yourself and for yourself and your family. Okay. Whether that's the important thing or that's your why for you is up to you to decide. Okay. If you don't have a family to spend time with, and you want to spend time more for yourself or go out and do a certain thing, then you will have time for that. It is there's no limitations. Okay. There's no limitations. I want to be very clear on that. Obviously there will be people who resonate to the fact that you have more time for your family, you have more time for your friends, you have more freedom. In today's world, you don't need to have a specific job title to have a set of skills learned. You can learn them on your own, and you have the opportunity to, via the internet and via this kind of plan that we have, to actually set aside a balanced lifestyle. And obviously there are productivity hacks, and there are many hacks that come into perspective. You can YouTube or Google as many as you want and follow them as well, because those are going to help you in your free time. Because sometimes it's like winning the lottery, right? A lot of people who and this is the mindset that is there. A lot of people who would happen to win the lottery, they don't know what to do, or they cannot really manage their finances after that, and usually lose out most of the time, because they're spending out all their money because, oh, I suddenly have so much cash, what do I do with it, right? And so they don't know what to do, because they've never been educated in the right mindset on how to build and acquire and grow and prosper in that kind of atmosphere. So it's the same thing with your time. If you suddenly have all this time freedom and you're like, what do I do? You definitely need to figure things out, right? At least for me, this was a key element, or rather I could relate to these two things very specifically, because financially and time freedom is pretty similar in the mindset of having, because it's abundance at the end of the day, right? You're having that abundance, but you don't know how to digest that abundance. So how do you digest that abundance? How do you actually spend time, go for a walk with your kids, spend time even just learning a new skill if you want, or playing the guitar, enjoying time playing cards, having game night with your friends, whatever it is. You suddenly have that time to do it, right? And that's if the success happens. If the success doesn't happen and you're confused, then you should be focused on, what am I not doing right, in order to have that plan keep running for me, and focus on it. And this is, over the years, for both of us, this has been the key element. We keep coming back to this plan. Sometimes we have diverted in the past, but we've come back to it. And the reason we've come back to it, because we know that it's proven to work. Okay. And it allows me to focus much more, because I can wake up in the morning and say, okay, I need to make a video. I need to, send free traffic or send paid traffic. I need to make sure that my product is there. I need to send out an email to my list, and the actions are very, very clear. There's no fluff involved. There's no BS involved. There's nothing. It's just pure action, implementation, and results. Okay, and the results come over time, because it's stacking those results. Okay. But balancing your life is difficult. I mean, each one goes through different moments. Our sponsor, our mentor, let's say, or coach, or whatever you want to call him, Rob Fraser, for example, has a very specific plan which we are following as well. And at the same time, he does have a kid. I have a full-time job. I have a dog. And that might sound very okay, so you have a dog, what's the point? But he's a little puppy, and I know that I need to dedicate more time to him. So at this point of time, maybe later on I don't. So you have to balance it out. You have things happen. Renee had to go for a vacation. Now she's going to New York. These things happen, and you still keep things running. So balancing that out is sometimes pretty hard to understand. And when you are focused, or when you only listen to the fact that you should be recruiting, you should be getting this, you should be doing that, you should, um, it can get very much overwhelming. And I know if the people who are watching this, for you, it's overwhelming that you're doing so much. Then having a schedule in place, even if you want to have, for example, building a team and you want to have Zoom calls with your teammates, schedule it. Even that is putting it in plan, putting in place in in your free time if you want to, or in the time that you say I'm working and this is it. you know so that's something that resonated with me a lot. And having this business run itself, which is what it's doing right now, gives me the possibility to have these kind of webinars, because then I choose my time to express that, but we focus on doing it. Renee, do you want to pitch in?
Yeah, I wanted to mention some things you were talking about. If you have family and you have a dog, no matter what it is you have, everybody has responsibilities. And when I first started, my kids were still school, either middle school and high school at the time, and then now they're in college. But it really doesn't matter what those tasks are. What you've got to do is, no matter. And I was also had a full-time job, okay, at the time. So you have to think about what are your priorities in life. Obviously your family comes first, in my case, my family always came first. Okay, so I would schedule things around what their school activities were going on, and then I would schedule around what I had to do for my job, and then I scheduled around other just responsibilities in life. um, and what attracted me to the fact that to online marketing is that you can, no matter whether you have a full-time job or a part-time job or someone you're taking care of or several different things, you can make this work for you. It's just a matter of putting your priorities in order and having a plan like such that we have, and just sticking to it and saying, okay, so this is what I have. And what I use now, and as far as a tip, what I use now is I have a Google Calendar, and there's things already set, the everyday things, the daily things. And then you work around, like I'm also part of BNI, so I have to work around those types of things now. And the beauty of how we do this is that once you get things situated and set up, it's just knowing those daily steps. And many times it doesn't necessarily take all day. That's the cool thing about having a system. It's just a few daily things like, okay, buying traffic, or if your method is, doing Facebook Lives, or if your method is doing a YouTube video, you make that time, that 5 or 10 minutes or so in your day, you just put it in there where you can actually fit it. And then it becomes more of that routine. It takes 21 days or 21 exposures to the same thing for it to become a habit. And once you have that down pat, it's almost like, yep, that's part of my routine now. It's just the fact that when you're first starting, it's just doing it consistently enough so it becomes that habit. And that's one of the things that I want to stress to you, is that it might not be a habit yet, and the system might not be natural to you yet, but you got to just keep doing it for at least 21 days in a row. And then is it 21, 28 days? I think it's 28 days. Once you have that down pat and you're doing that on a consistent basis, then okay, this is the plan in place, and being consistent. The other thing I wanted to add is that sometimes in this process, you might think you can handle, several different things, but you might not be able to do that. And that's where that overwhelm comes in. That's what happened with me. I ended up getting involved in things that it was just too much for me, between the job, between the kids, between, all this kind of stuff. And I ended up scaling down after a certain amount of time. And again, for each person, that's going to be different. Like that learning curve curve and that time it takes for you to figure that kind of stuff out is going to be different. Then once I got some skills under my belt, then once I got that routine going, okay, then I was able to eventually scale up. And again, I don't do a ton of stuff. I mean, it might sometimes look that way. If you go through, my sales funnel for the first time, you might say, oh, that's a lot. But it isn't necessarily a lot. It's more of, this is the way, if you understand the process, and again, it takes some time to actually understand that, and you've got to give yourself that time to actually understand. You're not going to get it all at first, but go through the steps, do that. And then once you figure out, okay, I got the marketing system down pat, I know how to do this. Okay. Oh, okay. I've got this, primary business under control. I'm going through my back office. I'm learning some things. Okay. I got that. Okay. Oh, I've got the buying traffic thing. Okay. I got this. All I have to do is, once I use my marketing system to make my, sales page link or my lead capture page link, all I have to do is send that to the vendor. It's a process, but give yourself that time and give yourself permission to take that time to learn. So I really wanted to stress that, because not everybody understands that, and not everybody really talks about that. It's important for you to give yourself that time, but be consistent enough to actually give it a chance. So that's really what I wanted to add to that.
Yeah. And in fact, you thinking about it, okay, I'm just going to give you guys a very factual information in this sense. If you have a marketing system, okay, Renee has a marketing system, I have a marketing system, we both function in the same manner, okay, but I can tell you that I know a lot about my marketing system in terms of education, okay, and I can help my team at any point of time, but the use of my marketing system, I'm maybe using 10% of what I should be. And that's not a bad thing. But to tell you that means that you have a lot of capabilities. Do you have to use all of them or not? Right? So even a product, for example, start to even though it might have a lot of things, don't go into the mindset of I have to learn this product by heart and I have to do it all in 30 days or 90 days or whatever it is. Start. What we're trying to get to is start with this plan or start with a plan, okay, in place, whatever it might be. Because you will start off with 1%, then you will go to 10%, and then you will go to 100%. And most of the times, by the time you reach 100%, you will be doing extremely well. And I can tell you that it will take more than a year for you to actually reach, or maybe even 3 years to reach that 100%. So take the effort. Why? Because you will be implementing, and that's the key element. What Renee was saying is that consistency is super important. But I can tell you, for example, myself, I know the capabilities that I'm using is just 10% of what I could be, okay, from the systems, but the action plan is very specific and allows me to get the results I need and then increase. Because it's no point, and I'll give you an example just from my head and from also my experience, okay. The fear is going to be there, right? The learning curve is there for sure, but the fear is as well is going to be there. The skepticism is going to be there, and you might ask yourself, what am I supposed to do with all this? I'm too scared to implement it. That happened to me for years, not just months, years, okay. I was absorbing the knowledge, and I don't want anybody else, whoever is working with me and whoever's working with Renee, I would say the same thing. I don't want anybody else to start absorbing only the knowledge. I would really recommend to start implementing the knowledge. So even if it's 10% that you understand, start to implement that 10% or that 1%. Forget about the 10%. The moment you do that and you focus on doing that, and you master that 1%, then go to 2%, then go to 3%, then go to 4%, but master it as you go along. Okay, now it might sound complicated, but I'm breaking it down really simply. At the end of the day, we really want to keep it very, very simple. Okay, there is a balance that comes, there is a joy that comes to it. I wake up in the morning, and maybe for sure Renee has the same feeling. You know what you're going to do. It's not that you have to think. And that means that you can get more done, and you can clear your mind. You can clear your worry. You live a less stressful life. And if that impacts you, then it's good. Okay. Give an example for today. Why was I late? I had a work dinner today. I had a meeting and then I had a work dinner. Okay. I didn't expect it to happen, but it happened. And I went with it. And I said, it's okay. Why? Because I have things running for me. Yes, I might be a little late. I made sure that I communicated that. Maybe I communicated that too late as well. But I communicated that when I could. And that was it. Right? And the support is always there. So we are here. And in fact, at this point, I just want to mention, if you want to reach out to, for example, the sales funnel that Renee was talking about, or even my system that I'm talking about, you can just firstly on this channel, so definitely you can, you know, reach out to me at any point of time. But I've also linked in the description. There's no links to any specific sales funnel in the description or something like that. There's only links to the profiles, YouTube profiles of whoever is supposed to be on this webinar. So you will have Emma's link in the description. Emma's was not able to be here, and that is also what life happens, right? Life happens in this sense. Rob also is not here because of the fact that life happens. And definitely, I know for a fact that their systems are still running. Okay. So you can reach out to any of us. I have it all in the description. If you don't know who we are, just go to our channels, watch a few videos, check things out, and that will give you a little bit of an idea of who we are and what we're doing. Okay. But I don't, it's not really for the promotion sake. It's just that we're talking about it in different ways. And I want you, definitely, whoever you resonate to, reach out to that person, because we are very much open to not only work with you personally and help you balance this and find out your goals. Because if you know your why, and I'm going to be very honest, my why is simply watch my family grow. This is my goal. This is my dream. This is my motivation every single day that I wake up. Uh, am I having the patience and the implementation to actually reach that? Today, a document came for me that I could, that I was waiting for. That is one step closer to what I need to do. So whether these are all things of life that happen, and we're going towards that. So that being said, what is it that motivates you, and what is it that you need in order for you to have that balance? Okay. If you get addicted, let's say, to one aspect of the marketing and it consumes you, I would say stop and think about it. Okay. Because it's great that it consumes you in terms of like learning the skill set. But if it takes control of your life, then I would stop to think whether the amount that you're doing is actually relevant to the result that's happening. And a lot of marketers would say, why am I pushing you to stop doing a lot? Because we're talking about specifically in this webinar balancing your life. There's no point deciding to or thinking about getting into something like an online business, or in terms of a business opportunity, or learning an instrument, or learning how to cook, or whatever it may be, if it consumes you so much that you cannot do that and cannot live without that. Okay. At the end of the day, we are specifically balancing things for ourselves. So hopefully that makes sense in the whole scheme in what we're talking about, because I really want to make an impact in this sense, because I know that a lot of people get involved and then get obsessed. And it's great that you have that passion. It's great that you're taking that action. But if you can't sleep at night because you're thinking, how can I make a sale tomorrow? I need this many people out. Hold on, stop, implement the plan, and the results will follow. See, the thing about action is that the moment you start to act on it, on the skill sets, the results will come through. But if you are overdoing things, then you suddenly get frustrated, and the frustration comes out more than actually the results or the reason behind it. And that's what Renee also is a testimony, let's say, in the sense, on this vacation and everything that she's doing, which, as you heard from her itself, the moment she takes a step back and says, I'm going to focus on me and I'm letting things run, is when she gets the best results. Why do you think so? Because people are attracted to people, and when they see that you're living your life rather than being slogged by, rather than being controlled by your life, that's what attracts them, right? That's what motivates them. So we're not saying don't take action, but don't overdo it. The same thing with alcohol, same thing with other things. But the point, the point is, don't overdo it, right?
I also wanted to add, I mean, and those are definite good points about, people can overdo it. Um, there's a difference between that and when you're first starting being a little off balance, because when you're first learning something, you've got to spend more time learning that thing or you'll never learn it. But understand that that's different than having it be something, as you mentioned, where it just overtakes your life and you're not even enjoying yourself anymore, and you're not even, either spending time with your family, or you're not even being productive at work anymore or anything like that. So just understand there's somewhat of a learning curve and somewhat of an imbalance at first, but once you actually take the time for yourself, you learn that even if you're a little off balance, it gets better over time. And that's the key. It does get better over time. And as you mentioned, these people that reached out to me about, getting started in business, they've been following me for a long time. This was not someone who just met me, a few days ago. They have been following me and saying, okay, I've seen what you're doing. I've seen your consistency. I just want to know a little bit more about this particular thing. And that's it. That's what made them relate to me. They also saw, again, as David mentioned, that I am just living my life. Okay. I'm an everyday person. I have a life. I have, things in my life that I'm committed to. And one of them is my business, but it doesn't overtake my life. It used to, when I didn't have this I didn't quite understand the whole process. There were times when it did consume me. And that's what I want people to understand is understand the difference. What we're trying to do in these webinars is to help to make it so that that doesn't happen to you, because we make it simple enough so that it shouldn't overtake your life. So, I mean, that's another key thing I wanted to mention to others.
Yeah, yeah, very true. And I mean, both of us, the fact that we are talking about the same thing, but it gives you an idea of the way we are doing it is really important, I think, because um well, time freedom, to be honest, and even running into balancing your life in this perspective is difficult. It's not easy. We're so used to hearing and thinking and knowing that you need to go to school, you need to educate yourself, whatever, and then you need to get a job and have a specific direction. And some things in society, the way things are for done for years, it does influence us. So the fact that you might be not doing as much as you would be doing sometimes is scary. And what I want to say is that it's completely normal to feel that way. But like Renee said, and like I said as well, don't overdo it in that sense. Don't let it overtake your life. Rather, spend the time. I'll give you an example for myself, personally. Um, I'm a musician. Okay, so um, well, not by profession, but by hobby, let's say. Um, and I've always played. I've always loved music a lot. And that means I was passionate about it. It means I was listening to music, I was involved in events, I had my own music website, and we were doing lots of like underground music and stuff like that. Or when I say underground, I mean indie music, which was not very well known in India, because I'm from India, right? So there was a lot happening, but I consumed this information, but I didn't overdo it in terms of learning how to play an instrument. I spent the time to do it, to learn the instrument, and then move on into the industry, into the space that I was learning, into specific areas, right? And that's how things went along. And it's the same thing when it comes to business. It's the same thing when it comes to your life. If you consume it in the beginning to learn, to absorb, and then implement. The key word here is implement, or, or rather, as they say in the industry, take massive action. Then then you're going to actually understand that it doesn't you do have thoughts, you do have, I mean, I did the same thing as Renee mentioned. It controlled my life. I couldn't sleep at times. I was focused on late hours of the night. Why? Because I was trying to make it work. I was trying to make it work because I knew that there are people who do make it work. And I watched videos after videos. I did so many things, and I just said to myself, enough is enough. I need to take action. I need a specific action to get things going. So that happens. Okay. The side that would help is if you had the support to actually, question this. Okay. So for example, for myself, when I was in doubt, I definitely reached out to Renee and asked her. I said, what do you think? I'm getting stressed out. I need to do this. I need to get things running. I need to start having more results and blah 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 blah. And I was not doing it in the right way. And because of that, I was pushing it. I was doing the things I needed to do in the wrong way rather than the right way. So I thought I was convincing myself, and most of the people, 98% of the people out there will convince themselves that they are doing every single thing that they can to get this done. But I'm guaranteeing you that you're not, and that's the only thing I can guarantee you. I cannot guarantee you income results. I cannot guarantee you anything else, but I can guarantee that you are not doing. You're doing too much sometimes, or rather, you're doing the wrong things because of this mindset of involving yourself so much that that happens. A real life example for myself, and this is outside the industry related, but this is more work related. So I work in business development. Okay, so I'm there supposed to build or develop business for my company, and this is just an example in the same mindset that I'm trying to explain to you. Okay, and that Renee has already also very clearly and very nicely put as well. um, when I first joined the fact that I was doing business development and stuff like that, I was so enthusiastic. I was so eager to get into it and get my hands dirty and actually do things, that it was frustrating me that I had some free time at work, or that I was learning more and stuff like that. And I wanted to do. But what happens, and this is when I stopped myself and I actually consulted somebody. And I said, you know what? Am I doing the right thing? Because suddenly I wanted to do when I did not have the right knowledge to actually sustain that work that I wanted to do. I didn't have the right knowledge. I didn't have the right skill sets. I didn't have enough, but I still wanted to do it. Okay. And luckily enough, this person just said, David, don't do too much right now. Just go through it. You might be bored, you might be whatever the first month, you might not take in enough information, you're taking too much, but you want to get your hands dirty so that you understand more, because you're a more practical person, you're a more visual person, whatever kind of person you are. Don't overdo it now. Why? Because the work will come. There will be waves where you will be overloaded and you cannot manage it. I can tell you the same thing about owning a business. There will be times that you will be so overloaded with requests and everything, and you just are frustrated on how you can manage it. So don't unnecessarily get into that kind of an atmosphere. Okay, so having a plan in place, and this brings us back to the essence of these webinars, right? Having a plan in place just simplifies this whole process, just simplifies the fact that you don't need to do this. And this is not, like I said, it's outside the industry. This is my actual work and everything else. And it did come. And this person was 100% on, on spot in terms of telling me this, giving me this advice, because a couple of months later, that's what happened. I got overwhelmed and I sat there and I was like, oh my God, this is so much to do. So much to, and all I needed was a little bit of patience, you know? And that's the thing when it comes to even the overwhelming side of it. So do spend time in consuming the information, consuming the skill sets, but implementing it. Don't worry about everything else that's involved. Just get started. Get started doing that step, taking those steps. And that's why we put this plan into place, because it's a very clear growth in and you can implement it to anything for that matter. In fact, this is what we're trying to even say in terms of lifestyle. Okay, you can implement the same thing in your lifestyle. um Waking up, for example, myself at 4 o'clock in the morning, and if I go for a run, I might not run the whole way, but I'm doing something that is proactive for myself, right? So the point is the doing, rather than the procrastination, rather than laziness. You're raising the standards of your lifestyle in general, of your life in general, of the reason whether you want to or not. And I'm not going to go into motivational side of things, but the point is still to balance these elements, right? um yeah, I think that covers like most of the areas that we want to speak about, but mainly in terms of business, following this plan has been a big lifesaver for us, and we just want to give that to you guys along the way. And the way it's positioned, the way it's set up, is that ultimately the business takes care of itself. And we want you to reach that point where you have an advertising budget for yourself that you're keeping, running for you, that you have a product in place, that you're earning cash flow. So it's beginning the cash flow, maintaining the cash flow, and investing in yourself, investing in your business so that it's there for the long term. We're not here to give you guys fast and get rich quick kind of results. No, these are results that give you a skill that you can take and implement at any point of time. I don't know if Renee has anything else to say, because I know that she's driving, and I think maybe.
No, I mean you covered it all. I mean, basically, how you summarized it was exactly what the point of the whole thing is. You have to figure out how you're going to balance your personal life into all this and make it happen for you, and you just got to give yourself that time to figure it out.
Yeah.
It does make it easier if you have a plan, obviously, that we have, so that you have something to follow in order to do that. But that's basically it.
Yeah, and that plan can be created for yourself as well. And if you want to reach out to any of us to help out with more on this aspect, feel free to do so. There's no problem. I think we'll conclude in terms of today's webinar, because I think we hit the point pretty much on multiple times. And we will be coming out, guys, every Wednesday or Thursday, depending on our free time as well, and our lifestyle and how things are. And we will reach out to you guys. Just follow us either on Facebook, on YouTube. Make sure that you're here so that you can actually take value about this. I hope many more episodes to come. We're just on 11, so that I'm sure that we're proud of ourselves as well, taking in this consistency and actually doing it. So we hope that you guys get value. If you want to join us on it, if you have some tips, like Renee said, you have to make the plan, but these webinars are there to give you guys the right tips in order for you to all right strategy, or whatever you want to call it, plan, tips, whatever, to take and make this a reality. So as my friend Alan says, giving you a shout out here, daydream no more. Take action a little bit more, and daydream no more, and you can you can actually get some concrete results when you do so. That being said, I'm going to see you guys next week. We are going to see you next week, and hopefully we have more people on the panel. If you want to definitely join us and you have something to contribute, feel free to reach out to us, and we will get you on here, and to communicate a little bit more with other people and have a little bit of a reach on even our network and stuff like that. But like I said before, links in the description in case you need to reach out to anybody from the group that we have at the moment. And I guess we're going to see you next week. Bye-bye. I'm going to say bye for Renee because I'm sure that she's she's waving right now. So see you guys next week, and hope you enjoy the rest of your week.